A surveillance company recently looked a reporter dead in the eye and said their cameras don't track people. Meanwhile, one of their cameras was physically rotating to follow that reporter down a walking trail like a haunted painting. Think about that for a second. So I recently saw an interview that I truly can't stop thinking about, not because of the tech, but because of the word games. This was an Investigate TV piece on Flock, the surveillance security camera company. Their cameras are everywhere by now. You are probably aware of them. You've probably seen some of the videos of people chopping them down. And one of their top executives sat down for this interview, and what came out of his mouth was so Bill Clinton-esque, such a masterclass in playing semantics, that I just started laughing. It depends on what the definition of track apparently is. Here's the setup. The reporter asks him point blank, do the cameras track people? And the answer was, no, it does not. Okay, then the reporter brings up these eyeball-looking cameras, pan, tilt, zoom, the whole deal, and when the news team went out testing them, the camera would follow them as they walked by, and then when somebody else walked by, it would swivel and follow them like a creepy owl. And the exec goes, yes, the camera can do motion tracking, but what it can't do is know when you have arrived or when you leave. And the operative word in that sentence, the load-bearing word, is it. It can't do that. That one camera, the lonely single camera, cannot follow you around town, which, congratulations, nobody asked that question. The reporter never claimed one camera could do everything. The entire point, the thing everybody watching understood, is that the totality of the network can. This company doesn't sell you a single camera. That's the whole business model. You put up hundreds, thousands of these things. And once you do, then yes, the network absolutely can track you from the moment you leave your house to the moment you get back. And that's what the reporter was actually asking. But the guy answered a completely different question and just hoped nobody would notice the switch. And by the way, this isn't me speculating about what the network can do. The same investigation dug up Flock's own training videos where their instructors literally describe tracking a vehicle, quote, from location to location to location. Their license plate cameras photograph every single car that drives past them. Make, model, plate, color, time, date, place, bumper stickers, physical attributes, whatever. And the police can search a month of that history, no warrant needed. One privacy researcher put it perfectly. Plot that data on a map, and it's basically like there's been a GPS tracker on your car for 30 days. There's even an app now, DFlock, where a guy has mapped something like 89,000 of these cameras across the country, including which way they're pointed. When hobbyists are building navigation apps specifically to route around your product, we don't track people is a tough opening line. So when I hear this guy say, no, it cannot do what you're saying, while very carefully never saying our network can't do what you're saying, it reminds me of something. It reminds me of a toddler negotiating dessert. You know, this conversation. The kid says something like, if I finish my dinner, can I have ice cream? And the parent, thinking they're slick, says, if you finish your dinner, you can have a dessert. Because in the parent's head, dessert means a slice of apple or some raisins. But the toddler is too smart for that. The toddler heard the vocabulary swap in real time and immediately said, will that be ice cream? Because the kid already knows how people use verbiage to worm their way out of stuff. Everybody's a little lawyer these days. 4-year-olds that can't tie their shoes can absolutely spot a weasel clause in a verbal contract. And that's what this interview was, except flipped, because the toddler caught it. And this executive is out here assuming we won't catch it. He thinks he's pulling one over on everybody. And apparently he's about 6 years old in maturity because he thinks the rest of us are all 5-year-olds just sitting here with no logic or intelligence, nodding along. Yeah, buddy, we watch the camera turn its little head. We can see the trick. The trick is not good. And honestly, that kind of representation hurts them way more than it helps, because it doesn't give anyone comfort that they're not being spied on. It just confirms that you'll say anything. The wordsmithing is the confession. Nobody lawyers a sentence that hard about something innocent. When's the last time you carefully parsed your pronouns about something you weren't doing? So here's my actual advice to Flock, free of charge. Although they're making a boatload of money, so it doesn't have to be free of charge. Send me a check. Just admit that you're spying on everyone. Own it. Pitch it like they basically did it in the UK. Country so committed to cameras that London is one of the most surveilled cities on planet Earth. And they just went with it. Lean into it. We have more cameras than any other system. We can find people instantly. We don't even need police forces anymore. because the camera system will find anyone, anywhere. Old-fashioned policing, obsolete. Investigative work, adorable. Detectives knocking on doors asking who's got a Ring camera, we'll never do that again. We are the cameras now. Tell people it's for their own good. Sell the panopticon. And quick history lesson, because it's genuinely relevant here, the panopticon was an 18th century prison design. I learned about it in college. One guard tower in the middle, cells all around it, built so that a single guard could be watching every prisoner at all times. The prisoners never knew when they were being watched, so they behaved like they always were being watched. The design worked without the guard even showing up to work, which, say you want about ethics, as a business model, it's totally fetch. One employee, perfect compliance, somewhere a security consultant is weeping with joy. But here's the uncomfortable truth. That pitch would work actually on a lot of people. There is a huge subset of the population that will hear, we can find anyone instantly, always, and say, yeah, that sounds good to me. I want that security at any cost. Sign me up. I've got nothing to hide. I've got nothing to lose. Point one in my cul-de-sac. Flock even says their system helps solve 700,000 crimes a year. That's their number. But fine, lead with that. That's an honest pitch. We watch everything, and here's what you get for it. Let people actually weigh the trade. When you take that deal, by the way, every trip you make gets logged forever in exchange for that kind of security. And that ultimately is the real question here. It deserves a conversation, not a shell game. Instead, you've got representatives from Flock trying to wordsmith their way into a good answer. And all it does is leave everyone a little skeptical. Say what you are. Sell what you are. Some people will love it and some people will hate it, but at least nobody's sitting there squinting at your pronouns, because the moment you start talking like a toddler angling for ice cream, we all know exactly what's in the freezer. Oh, and one more thing, because I can't leave this out. While this company was out there explaining how buttoned up everything is, researchers found dozens of these people following cameras streaming live on the open internet. No password, nothing. Random people could watch a man leaving his house in the morning or a woman jogging on the trail. So the cameras that don't track people were tracking people publicly for free to anyone with an internet browser. You truly can't write comedy better than this reality. When I first started on YouTube, I had no idea what I was doing, and I just kind of stumbled my way to finding a little bit of success with hundreds of thousands of subscribers, hundreds of millions of views, YouTube Creator Awards, hundreds of thousands of dollars in income generated. And I shared my personal journey in this book, The Accidental YouTuber. But over the years, a ton of people have asked me, how do I get started? How do I pick a niche? How do I pick a topic? How do I start recording, editing? How do I make money? These are all the typical questions of people that just want to start out on YouTube for whatever reason. And I've helped people where I can, but I finally decided, why not put those ideas into a new book? And so this one is The Intentional YouTuber, a beginner's step-by-step guide to your very first video. And this one takes you from doing nothing to figuring out what kind of content you should create, what topics you should cover. Do you want to support an existing business? Do you want to just share your hobbies, your family, your excursions, whatever it may be? This one will take you from doing nothing to publishing your very first video. So I'm hoping that it will help you on your YouTube expedition. And if you want to get started today in a fun, easy way, then check out this book. I'll put a link to it in the description. I'll see you later.